Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. Today we have a familiar face. Mr. Alex Molden is back with us. And in a previous episode, we talked about his younger years and then progressing into the NFL. Today we're going to follow up with the rest of the NFL career and then finish with where he's at today. So Alex, thanks again for being on, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me again.
You betcha. Well, good. So, in our last conversation, we had kind of paused with you being a part of the Saints organization. And one thing that you had made a comment of is while you were with the Saints, there might have been a disagreement about playing time and what position you're in with you and some personnel on the coaching staff. So talk a little bit about, that business side of things and how an athlete works through that mentally, because that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is. And I was in Dicka's doghouse. And so, you have this greater than life at the time, this is back in 98, 99. No, it was 99. And so Dicka had been on TV, right? He was on ESPN, I believe, or CBS, I can't remember. But even before then, he was like, he was the head coach of the '85 Bears.
Right.
He's a who was an All Pro, who was a Hall of Fame player, and he has this big personality, and now he's with us with the Saints,
Yeah.
and for some odd reason, I wasn't, I just felt that I wasn't getting my fair shot at getting on the field. And so basically I was benched, and I went to talk to my coaches. Hey man, what's the deal? What do
Yeah.
I need to do?
Right.
And then they said, hey, you need to go talk to Coach Dicka. And so it just the things that I've learned that happens in the locker room or in the football field in the NFL, those same type of things happens in corporate America.
Mm.
And so where I'm going to my boss at the time, my DB coach, and he can't really give me any answers. So he
Right.
says, hey, take it up to the big dog.
Yeah.
So then okay, Dicka always said that his door is always open. And so I go upstairs and I'm knocking on his door. Hey, come on in, Alex. So I go in and I start to, kind of talk to him about, hey, what do I need to do? He's not giving me a clear answer.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another. And now it turns into a shouting match. And so here's the thing is I'm a highly paid, you know, professional athlete.
Yeah.
And I think that it's okay for me to raise my voice and yell at my boss.
Mm.
No, my boss's boss.
Right.
Where else in America, anywhere, does that even make sense?
Right.
But because of that whole environment and the culture, for me, it made sense. Now, that wasn't the right character. I look at it now,
Mm.
that wasn't right. I was wrong. Even if I felt that I was being treated unfairly, that was wrong of me. And I needed to take responsibility of that. I wish I would have back then
Yeah.
to say, hey, you know what? That was wrong on me. I apologize, coach. Hey, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get on the field. You know, even though he wasn't giving me any answers or whatnot, I still need to do that. But I didn't. And I had a chip on my shoulder. I wasn't even playing any special teams. Yet I
Wow.
was the highest paid defensive back, but I wasn't doing anything. So anyway, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, about those situations when you're still treated unfairly, and it taught me just to see the bigger picture. Because after I had a conversation with um, a coach, and he had been with us for a couple of months, more like as a general assistant or like a volunteer type of basis.
Yeah.
And he just kind of told me, he said, Alex, things like this is going to happen in life. What are you going to do? Are you going to rebel every time? Because there's going to be points in time where you are going to be treated unfairly.
Mm.
what do you want to get out of this? Do
Right.
you want it to be like a poor me? Or you can flip it and be like, hey, this gives me some time to work on being a better teammate.
Yes.
I can be able, I can work my butt off in practice and still be an effective teammate by showing others that, man, despite how you might feel, and I think we talked about this last time,
Yeah.
Phil, is despite how I might feel, I still need to get the job done.
Yep.
Yes, I feel mistreated. Yes, this, that, or the other. My character still needs to be top priority. I still need to go out there and compete and perform, even if it's
Yeah.
just practice, because that can inspire others to become the best version of themselves. If they can see me busting my butt and knowing that I'm being treated unfairly, how does that make them feel?
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge to
Absolutely.
be able to still perform, even though, or I guess excel, perform as hard as you can, even though you're maybe not getting the opportunity that you feel like you deserve.
Absolutely. And it's not, I knew that nothing was really going to happen just right then,
Yeah.
but it prepped me for the next year,
Yep.
because there was other people, other coaches that saw that same thing, and they was able to tell or inform, the next coaching staff, hey, this guy, even though he was going through this turmoil, this, transgressions or whatever, he still was about the team. And
Yep.
so, but I want to make this clear that it didn't at first, it didn't come from me.
Right.
I wish I was mature enough to be able to see that and get out of my feelings and see like a bigger picture. It was a coach,
Hmm.
somebody you know, who didn't really care how I felt. It was just somebody who was like, hey, is this what you want? Is this how
Yeah.
you want to respond? And for the most, and no, it wasn't. So I had to get out of my feelings and really like, okay, look at it. What do I want to get out of this situation? And
Right.
so now, man, I apply those same things that I learned on the field to off the field. And that's why I do what I do now in terms of
Yes.
like leadership coaching. You can call it life coaching if you want, but
Yeah.
personal development.
Absolutely. Now, with your time at the Saints, is there a specific game that just stands out as a highlight game as your time with them?
Oh man, shoot. I think really, I don't look at it as like a highlight game. It was just something that when I was in my last year, so it was a big year, your last year in your contract is your big year. You got to perform, you got to play.
Yeah.
And I had ended up getting surgery right before the first game. And I lost my job because of an injury where I had to sit out, and then boom, my job was lost.
Wow.
But I still had that mentality that I had last year,
Yeah.
mature level. It's like, okay, that's okay.
Yep.
Every opportunity that I step on the field, I'm going to ball out like it's my last,
I
like it's my
love it.
last play. And so I was always ready. And so by the time um, I did get my opportunity halfway through the season, one of the other guys got hurt. So then they had to play me. I balled out.
Yep.
And so I think, and that was the first year in Saints history that we not just made it to the playoffs, but we won our division and we won our first playoff game.
Yes.
So I think, and we beat the team that, the greatest show on turf when they had all these Hall of Famers,
Right. Yeah.
and we ended up beating them at our house. And so I
Yeah.
want to say like that's my biggest my biggest game as a Saint is like beating them in the playoffs to have our first playoff win in Saints history.
I love it. Now, a phrase that I always love that I hear is stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? And it sounds like that's exactly what you were doing. Hey, I don't have the job today, but I'm going to get opportunities during the game. And at some point, I hope I can earn that starting spot back.
Absolutely. Having that mentality. It's like not waiting for the opportunities to come
Yeah.
and just sit around and like, okay, now it's going to come. Okay, now I got to shape who I am. I got to shape my character to fit. No, I've been working on this for a long time. So no matter how how I perform, like I've been preparing for this moment.
Yep.
So it's not going to be bigger than me. I've been in
Yeah.
my head, in my mind. I've been working on this in practice. I've been working on this in the off season.
Yep.
So now it's not like, oh, you get this awe, just like, oh, no, I've been working on this. I'm ready.
Right. I love it. Now, in your career, you end up going from the Saints to the Chargers. Now, as a fan of sports, you either get excited or sad. You're excited if you get the right player, you're sad if you have a player leaving. But you also have to realize that's somebody's family, right? I mean, there's more to it than just, hey, I'm playing with a new team next year. So talk a little bit about transitioning from one team to the next team and, new coaching staff, new players, new city, and everything that goes into that from not only the professional side, but also the personal side.
Absolutely. And as fans, and I guess I'm a fan now, especially of my son, who's now,
Yeah.
he's going to be playing in the NFL. But as
Yeah.
fans, they're our guys, and we only see it from our lens.
Right.
And now being on both sides of the ball, I know, like, man, these guys, it's tough.
Right.
Like Julio Jones going from Atlanta, who's been there for 10 or 11 years, and now he's going to a new place.
Right.
It's exciting, but it's still like, you're like that new kid
Yeah.
at school.
Yeah.
And, for me, I was that a lot because I was an Army brat. We moved around a lot. So I know how that feels of being the new kid in the classroom or in the
Right.
locker room. And so like Julio Jones, he's, he might show it that he's not, I'm still the same guy. And he is for the most part, but that transition is something new. It's a new city, new fans, new coaches, new playbook, all these things that he needs to, be able to adapt to.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Like when I went to the Chargers, this is a new system. We got new players. Thank goodness, like the NFL is like it's a club, or I won't say club, but um, I don't know. I guess it's a small club, like a fraternity.
Yeah. Like fraternity. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I go there, and one of my old buddies, my old teammates who I was with the Saints, he had told me about the culture and everything, and who guys he introduced me to, and so it was really cool. But it was like the first day of school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, meeting new guys who I've seen, like Junior Seau. Man, I've seen him on
Right.
TV. And now he's like, hey, buddy, man, hey,
Yeah.
glad to have you on the team. And so for him to go out of his way to just say hello, that meant a lot. They gave me a lot of confidence,
Yeah.
because football is football, just like for anybody else. When they go from one job to another to the next, it's like they have the skill set,
Yeah.
the other things that have to come into play,
Yep.
learning the language, learning the culture, how do you fit in, and
Yeah.
then just being you, because that's what they brought you in. They didn't bring me in there to be Deion Sanders.
Right.
They brought me in to be Alex Molden.
Yep.
And so
So how does one go about the decision-making process? I mean, obviously there's the financial side of it, right? But there's also probably, where am I going to be a good fit as well? Where am I going to add value or get the best opportunity? So talk a little bit about that and that decision-making process within NFL teams.
yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of different ways. Like for me, just know that I was wanted. So they called me on day one.
Yeah.
As soon as free agency opened up, I was playing golf, and I wasn't expecting to get a call on the first day, but I got a call on the first day,
Yeah.
and they said they wanted to fly me out, meet everybody, talk, and so I did that. I mean, come on, man, it's San Diego. I've been in
Yeah.
New Orleans. I've been in New Orleans for 5 years. I go to sunny San Diego. The weather, the people are beautiful. I was like, oh man, I didn't really think too much about, what system that I would be a great fit in,
Yeah.
because in my 5 years with the Saints, I had three different defensive coordinators.
Wow.
So, I play, in the more typical zone cover two style. I've been in a zone blitz style. Played a lot of man to man. And so my style could fit anywhere. So it was more like, okay, they're giving me an opportunity. They believe in me. They want me. I said, and it's beautiful there. I said,
Yeah.
this is it. This is the place for me. But there's other places, other positions in football where it has to be the right fit,
Yep.
because not everybody is going to be a Tom Brady. Not
Right.
even Tom Brady. If Tom would have went somewhere like the Jets at that time, I think he would be a mediocre quarterback.
Right.
There's only a handful of players, athletes in the NFL that are superstars that can be superstars wherever they go.
Yep.
LaDainian Tomlinson
Right.
would have been a superstar wherever he went.
Yes.
Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Jerry Rice, wherever they went. The rest of us, depending on where we go, it has to be the right fit, right coaching staff, right system, right teammates.
Absolutely. Now, at your time with the Chargers, as does happen for most players, they end up drafting a really nice young talent. And you said it was kind of like having a shark in your tank. So talk a little bit about what that feels like on your end, being the veteran player at that point and having, a younger guy coming into the tank.
Yeah, man. What's funny is, so they drafted Quentin Jammer
Yeah.
with the 5th pick. And, I was once that shark that was put
Right.
into Mark McMillan's fish tank, so
Yeah.
when the Saints drafted me with the 11th pick in 96, it already grabbed a 6-year defensive back prior to drafting me, that he was going to be, he was going to be the corner, he's going to be the guy. And all of a sudden they draft a younger, more athletic, no experience on the NFL level though,
Right.
but they draft me to basically help the team, yeah, but take his job. Well, 7 years later, it happens to me with Quentin Jammer.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get into my feelings, which I probably would have done earlier in my career.
Right.
But I was like, okay, now let's just look at it. Let's think. Okay, they drafted him because the previous year I ended up on injured reserve. I had two injuries, 2 surgeries, not just injuries, 2 surgeries. So yeah, that makes sense. They really can't depend on me to finish the whole year. Okay, so I get that. That comes with the business.
Yeah.
So what do I have that Mr. Jammer does not? Okay, because he has me on size, he has me on speed, on quickness, but what I had him on was experience,
Yeah.
which is an influencer, right? We talked
Right.
about earlier. It's the influencer of leadership. My experience can cause people to follow me.
Yeah.
Okay. Or my lack of experience could push people away. So I
Right.
had experience. I also had success.
Yep.
Okay. I was an NFL starter for more than half of my career.
Right.
So those things I had to be able to lean on. And with experience is, even though I might not be like physically running a 4.3 anymore, but with my mind, I can dissect plays like that.
Yep.
And that caused me to be faster. I can recognize things faster than Quentin could.
Right.
And so I had to lean on those things. And so the things that we talked about, meaning alignment, assignment, and adjustment on the football field, I use those things every practice, every play, every time I could. I was leaning on those 3 pillars, lining up correctly, knowing my assignment and the assignments of others around me, and then being ready for the adjustments that had to be made, before and during every play.
Yeah.
And so with all those things, with having that shark in my fish tank, I had the best year of my career.
Sometimes I think people shy away from the competition, but really for most people, competition really breeds the best out of you, right? It brings the best out of what I'm capable of. And sometimes I just need a little extra from some external source
Absolutely.
to get me going.
Absolutely, man. It's nothing like having somebody who wants your job as bad as you do, and for you to really focus and lock in on the things that's given you success in the past. And so that's exactly what I did. Is I didn't have that, oh, poor me, I should just quit now. Is they going to hand him the job? No, this is still a business, and they're going to play the people who's going to put them in the best position to win.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Mm.
So as you're in that more veteran role now, did you get the opportunity to mentor like a Quinn, or how did that play out inside of your locker room?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like at the end of the day, man, we're still a team, and we're still trying to win.
Yeah.
So just like others before me, like when I was with the Saints, they didn't or Eric Allen or Mark McMillan, they didn't like, turn a cold shoulder to me. Man, they welcomed me in. They wanted to teach me. They wanted to help make me better, because
Yeah.
if I was better, therefore the team would be better.
Right.
So I was like, I took that same mentality. I made sure that, hey, Quentin, man, I'm here for you. Anytime you have a question, man, let me, I've been in this league for a while. I can help you. I'm not gonna, give you false information and try to, you know, uh, help you make mistakes so that it
Right.
makes me look better, because that wasn't in my character.
Yeah.
So I want to help you become the best version of yourself on the football field. Hey, here's the things. Here's how you take notes.
Yep.
Here's what I'm looking at when I see, the quarterback under center. I want to help give him a leg up, because if he's better, it's going to make me better. It's going to make everyone around us better.
I love that. I was actually just talking to one of the pastors at my church about this last week, and we talked about how you need someone that is slightly above you in, your position or in your role, so that you can learn from them and they're close enough to you where you think it's possible. You need someone that's alongside you at your same level, because you need to have just that kind of companionship. But then you need to have someone that you look up to as well, right? That maybe is outside of the realm of what's possible for you at that moment, but you can be taking notes of what do they do and working towards that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Love it.
that's good.
So as you transition with your time with the Chargers, then we transition to the Redskins. Talk a
Yes.
little bit about that emotional like month of time there.
Yeah. So that was difficult, because I spent 2 years with the Chargers, and they wanted to restructure my contract again, and which is like basically there's no stability for me. They can cut me at any time,
Right.
and the money looks great, but you got to be able to stay healthy, beat these young guys out, and do all that type of stuff. And at the time, I was like, no, I don't want to, I want to do that again. So
Right.
anyway, they ended up letting me go, but I went to the Redskins. They picked me up after the draft. They needed some veteran help, so I knew right away like what they was bringing me in there for. They needed an
Mhm.
older guy at the time. Champ Bailey was in his 5th year.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm in my 8th year. They have another guy by the name of Fred Smoot, who's in his 2nd year, who's going
Yeah.
to be a superstar. And then they had Rashad Bowman, so he's a duck, but he
Yeah.
just finished with his 2nd year. So anyway, they had a lot of young guys on the team, and they wanted a veteran presence. And so they brought me in there, and um, different environment, different thing of language, and but I picked it up pretty quick. But I didn't know exactly how they was going to keep their DBs, because typically in the NFL they keep um, five cornerbacks, and then four safeties.
Mm.
So there's only certain amount of positions that they keep on the
Right.
football team, and or for the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
So typically everybody else does five corners, four safeties. Well, the Redskins, and I didn't know this, was they kept four corners and five safeties, with one of the safeties being a hybrid.
Mm.
So he can play either or.
Got it.
So he's deemed more valuable
Right.
because he can play multiple positions. Well, me, I can play corner, and I was the nickel,
Got it.
So that
Yeah.
just lets you know, like, man, the more you can do, the more value you can have. Long
Right.
story short, they cut me and I was up out of there after, and I made it to the last cut.
But you don't stay cut for long.
Yeah, yeah, don't stay cut for long, and just, understanding that. And this is another point that I make when I'm coaching people is, like, it wasn't that I wasn't good enough anymore in the NFL because there's 32 teams.
Right.
No, it was just one team saying that, hey, Alex, you don't fit what we trying to do. That's what it
Yep.
was. It was just one team. It
Mhm.
wasn't all 32 teams saying that you're not good enough. That came later.
Yeah.
But evidently I was still, I still had value,
Yeah.
because the Detroit Lions called me the next day.
Yep.
They called me the next day. They brought me in for a workout, and I did, I guess, bare minimum, but I did it, and they ended up signing me that next day. So it's just understanding, like, and just like I tell my clients now, I'm not for everyone,
Yep.
right? There's
Yep.
certain people that I want to work with. I
Yeah.
want to work with people who are, um, they are intentional, and I mean, I love being inspired. I want to work with people
Yeah.
who are inspiring.
Yeah.
I don't work with anybody who is not inspiring,
I love
because
it.
I mean, me just sitting there with somebody who I want their success more than they want it. That's not right.
Right.
Or if it is not, well, I know it's not right for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So talk about that, because I love that perspective. I think it's so true, right? Hey, it doesn't mean I'm not right for everybody, right? It just means that wasn't the right one. I mean, you could take that in business, you could take that in relationships, right? I mean, that's a very good mindset. Now, in that moment though, did you have that, or did you feel a little bit beat down about getting cut?
Yeah, you felt a little bit beat down
Yeah.
because, I mean, it never is, I guess, the right time, or,
Right.
you know, when somebody tells you that you're not good enough. I
Right.
don't care if it was dating, like back in the day when
Yeah.
I was in seventh grade, when
Yeah.
Paulette told me that I wasn't the right guy for her, that stings, what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So you never kind of get used to it. It
Yep.
just stings a little bit, but because of the relationships I had in the NFL with coaches and other players, and the culture, I understood the culture of it, and you
Yeah.
see it like every day, man. There's guys working out, like every Tuesday in the NFL. They have open workouts
Mm.
every Tuesday. And Tuesdays is our
Yeah.
off day.
Right.
But you go to the facilities, there's a group of guys working out every day. They're trying to see who's the best athlete or the best position that can help the team. So
Yeah.
you start to see that, and your skin gets callous, your skin gets thick. And so I did have thick skin. It did sting though when a
Yeah.
team, walks you to your locker with their security guards. You got to bag up all your stuff, after being told that you're not good enough for them. And then they walk you out of facilities and they close the door and you can't, that's it.
Right.
That stings a little bit. But I understood that, it's the nature of the beast, and you got to take the good with the bad.
Absolutely. Now you end up finishing your career with the Lions, like you had just mentioned, end up getting to sign with the Lions, and talk a little bit about your role there and how you knew, or how it became time to say, all right, it's time to transition out of the NFL. I've had a great career here.
Oh, that's great. Well, you make it sound so beautiful and pleasant, Phil. I appreciate you, but that's not how it was. There's a lot of cats
Yeah.
that I want to say a small percentage of the NFL guys walk away when they want to, on their
Hmm.
terms,
Right.
when they're finished. I
Yeah.
was like the 95% of the guys that, I kept working out. I kept, staying ready,
Yeah.
waiting for that phone call, waiting to show, your stuff. And those opportunities did start to come after my 8th year.
Yeah.
But the love and the passion was starting to fade.
Mm,
And I started to kind of fool myself because I started training like everybody else.
yeah.
And I'm talking about like everybody else who wasn't in the NFL. Like you
Right.
go to the workout, you go to the gym and you get on the elliptical or you get on the treadmill and the workout. Nah, I started to do that.
Yep.
And that's not, that's not how I train. That's not how you train to play at the elite level,
Right.
because that stuff is hard going out there on the field
Yeah.
and you're working and you're stopping and you're changing directions and you're chasing cats and you're doing this, you're lifting heavy weights and you're moving it fast. And that stuff is hard.
Right.
And I started to fool trick myself to, hey, I'm working out like homeboy over here who's an executive at Adidas. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
out like him. Cause he gets after, he goes tough, he goes hard. And man, there's different levels, man.
Yes.
And I started to trick myself and I was like, yeah, this isn't it. And
Yep.
so I ended up retiring a year and a half after my last year playing in the league.
Absolutely. Now, it's a tough transition to go from the NFL into any other career. We've had individuals on this show that have had that same experience. I'm gonna have to connect you with Joe Hawley if you haven't connected with him yet.
Okay.
But you talked about you went to a job interview and a lady asked you a question, and you said that was a turning point in my post NFL life. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So when I finished, right, I retired and I was like, man, I'm really done. And so I was thinking I was going to just, ride off into the sunset, play golf every day, work out, not as intense, but I'm still stay healthy and working out.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be pretty dope, being 32 years old and just doing what I want to. I had enough money, had the cars and the houses and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was going to do that. But then, man, that stuff gets boring,
Yeah.
you know, and I end up going into this world of the nonprofit sector because one of my neighbors in San Diego, she was the CEO of this nonprofit, and she asked me to come along and just work part time, being a development consultant,
Yeah.
which I had no clue what that was. And she finally told me, "Yeah, no, you find out different ways how to raise money,
Yeah.
write grants, do all that type of stuff." I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool." And so I did that for about 6 months, and then we moved up here to Portland, Oregon. So once again, we moved up here, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Lifting weights and playing golf, that sounds good, but finding your what you want to do in life, finding your purpose, that didn't even come up on my radar yet.
Yeah.
And so I ended up finding this nonprofit position. It was a director, and I mean, it wasn't about the money. It
Right.
was more about me trying to find what I wanted to do. So I went to this job interview, and ended up going in, and in my mind, just to kind of let you guys know, it's like I had it. This role was mine.
Yep.
I mean, my background, went to University of Oregon, um, played in the NFL, and
Right.
to boot, if they hired me, they would the NFL would give a $5,000 grant to the organization.
Mm.
And so I was like, this is just going through the motions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And anyway, I get in this interview and talking with this lady, Mrs. Tulane, and she starts to ask me questions about the organization, right?
Yeah.
Making sure if I did my homework. And so me coming from my previous world, I know how to prepare, right? I
Right.
was preparing. I did the research when they started, who did they serve, how they serve, what events they put on. I did all that. And then she started asking me more questions, deeper questions about myself.
Mm.
And with each question that she had, I kept saying these words: I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I, I don't know. And so finally she said, Alex, you're not going to get this job, sweetie. And can I give you a little bit of advice? And at this time, I'm like, I'm about to tear up. I'm in my feelings
Yeah.
because all those things, once she said those words, it takes me back to where other people in my life had told me I wasn't good enough.
Right.
She said, let me give you a little bit of advice. Before you go on any more job interviews, sweetie, you need to learn and find out exactly who you are.
Mm.
She got up, walked me to the front door, told me good luck. Phil, I walked to my car and I had a nice car now. Come on now. I had a
Right.
nice car. I had a nice car, man. But I went in that car and I cried my eyes out, like weeping,
Yeah.
like biblical.
Right.
When Jesus talks about weeping,
Yeah.
that's what I was doing in my car.
Yeah.
And I was banging my hands on the steering wheel, just mad, just upset. And it really it took me to my core.
Mm.
Like this lady who just met me told me the truth.
Right.
So there's a couple of things that happens, right?
Yeah.
Number one, she took me to that place, that dark, deep, deep down place that I've never been before. Number
Hmm.
two, it was somebody who was giving me somebody being honest with me.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of courage to tell somebody how they're showing up.
Yep.
She did that, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
I'm also thankful for the blueprint that one of my coaches gave me when I was playing football. And we talked about that alignment, assignment, and adjustment.
Yep.
I had to look at myself and be like, okay, I'm lost.
Right.
I don't know who I am. When I look at it, I don't know who I am. I thought I was a football player.
Right.
That was something that I did. That was a platform.
Hmm.
I need to find out exactly who Alex is.
Yeah.
And so I started to kind of ask myself different questions. But I need to find out what alignment I needed to make.
Yep.
And so for the most part, it was I need to align with what gave me um, what what's my foundation.
Yeah.
And then from there, kind of, how do I align my life now? And so for the most part, when I look at it, when I really put, pen to pad, okay, I align myself on my career. And then it was my family. And then it was my hobbies. And then it was my faith.
Mm.
If I'm being
Yeah.
completely honest.
Yeah.
And so I need to ask myself questions. Well, is my and then also health. Health was on there. Is my health going to be the perfect, like, am I going to always be 21, 22 years old? No.
Right.
So I can't put my foundation on my health.
Yeah.
Is my career. What it just showed, I just told you, no, my
Yeah.
career, that can be gone from, not just from me, but from anybody.
Right.
So my foundation can't be on my career. I think you know where I'm going here.
Hmm.
Not even my family.
Yep.
In America, the divorce rate is 50%. So yes, I think me and my wife have a phenomenal, marriage,
Yeah.
but that's not promised.
Right.
And so when I really looked at it, I looked at my life and the things that, I didn't become a Christian until my second year in the NFL, but it gave me a different way to look at things.
Yeah.
Like I can lean on Jesus Christ,
Mm.
for me.
Yep.
And when I did that, that gave me a sense of peace. And I
Yeah.
think, we are all looking for peace.
Hmm.
And especially during this past year, this pandemic.
Right.
So for me, it was my faith, and then it was my family, and then it was my career. And so, but here's the cool thing is when I aligned all those things, man, I started to have peace, more joy with my family. My career took off. I got linked up with Nike. I
Yeah.
started traveling the world on Nike's budget,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
their on
Yeah.
Uncle Phil's dime. and I started to have impact, and I was started to do things that I enjoyed doing.
Right.
That takes us to alignment.
Yep.
I'm sorry, not alignment, but assignment.
Yeah.
I found out what my purpose was. In
Mhm.
football, it's like you find out what your job, what your role is.
Yep.
When you like look at it even deeper at yourself, like what are you put on this earth to do?
Yeah.
And for me, when I really dug down deep, it was to help.
Yep.
And for the most part, it was to help people become better athletes, help athletes become better athletes.
Yeah.
And I started to have such an impact, and it gave me so much joy. And then the conversations that I would have with people, vulnerable conversations I share about myself and the impact, and then what I started to learn and really dissect about leadership. Well, now I was like, man, I started to have more impact, and not just making them better athletes, but making them better people.
Yep.
Because if they're better people, they're going to be better entrepreneurs, better business owners, better executives, better
Right.
employees,
Right.
better parents, better wives, better husbands. And so now I know what my assignment was. Yes, I want to help people,
Yep.
and that's part of why I wrote my book, to have more impact. But I want to be able to help others make the adjustments. So the last part is the adjustment part. Like, what adjustments do people need to make in their character to get to where they want to go? What
Yes.
do you want to achieve? Now, what character do you need to take on to achieve that? What changes in your relationships,
Mm.
starting with the relationship you have with yourself? What relationships, what adjustments you need to make in your relationships
Yeah.
to get to where you want to go? And so when I started to align all those things, and it took, I wish I could say that all that happened in that brief moment in my car.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't.
No.
It took over a decade to understand, to really start to put all those things together.
Yeah.
They came in bits and pieces, but the framework started to come. And once I got a coach, it really narrowed things down. And so, 5 years ago, I started to speak. I
Yep.
started to um, start having an impact, start to coach people to becoming better at whatever they want to get, whatever they want to.
Yes.
First, help them find out what do they want to achieve,
Right.
because it sounds easy, but it's hard to
Mhm.
figure out what you want to do, what type of impact, what can you use from your background, from your history, that can propel you to get what you want out in life.
I love it. Now, you hinted on the book. Talk a little bit about the book that you've written and kind of a couple of key points you'd like people to take away from it and really what the motivation behind it was outside of just, having impact on more people.
Yeah, man, you know what? It was something that I knew that I wasn't the only person
Yeah.
that has had setbacks in their life,
Yep.
that wanted to figure out like exactly what their purpose is. And so what I did is I went down this journey, man, and started writing things down in different points in my life, and especially, being a professional athlete, going to college and trying to figure
Right.
things out when you're 19 and 20 years old, impressionable, person. And like, man, the different things that happened in my life. And then after talking with people, with my podcast, that I do,
Yep.
man, I'm not the only one that went through
Right.
this struggle.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, man, figuring out like how to make better decisions, how to figure out what you want to do, what pathway, how do you navigate getting from point A to point B,
Yep.
and who can help you? There's
Mhm.
people out there that would love to help you.
Yep.
And, depending how you show up in life, right, the type of character that you have, more people, depending on your character, are
Yep.
more likely to help you.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're somebody who, who thinks they have it all solved, they got they don't need any help, and, they have ego, you got to have ego. But when you go kind of above,
Yeah.
where you start to get into that cocky mode, which
Yep.
lives in a lot of us athletes, being confident, there's a certain point where
Yeah.
You step into, you're right on the edge of cocky and confident.
Right.
And when I like to say that, um, if it's a pond, you don't want to swim. You don't want to swim in the pond of cockiness, but every so often you
Yeah.
want to dip your toe in it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to be
Absolutely.
right on the edge.
Yep.
But a lot of us athletes, we live in that, and we
Right.
start to swim in that so much that we don't know what it's like
Yeah.
to be just humble
Yep.
and confident, not
Yep.
overconfident. And so, this book it's a roadmap, and there's 11 keys to it.
Okay.
11 keys for success, to finding out, like, man, to what does it mean to be a high achiever?
Yeah.
So I looked at my life and the lives of others, and really just kind of like dissected it down. And I already gave 4 or 3 keys: alignment, assignment, adjustment. There's 8 others,
Yeah.
but it starts with like understanding what leadership is, because it's
I
so
love it.
big, and we can,
Yes.
you can really like lose yourself in it. But if you just break things down, I look at definitions of things.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Well, we'll make sure to have a link to where we can go and have listeners grab that. And then the last thing I'd like you to spend a minute on. Obviously, you're a very proud father of many kids, but you referenced one of them already, and I'm sure it was probably a pretty phenomenal family feeling. But this last NFL draft, your son will now be playing in the NFL this coming year. Talk a little bit about just being on that side of the NFL draft experience as a parent.
Well, I'm super blessed. Me and my wife, we have 8 healthy, beautiful, children.
Yeah.
And, we all wanted them just to not just follow in dad's or mom's footsteps. I just wanted to be able to help them be the best version of themselves.
Right.
If it so happens that you happen to go into the athletic world,
Yep.
hey, I got some pointers on that, because I've been a performance trainer for 15 years.
Yep.
If you so happen to want to do this whole football thing, hey, I've been to the top. I know what type of character it takes to
Yes.
push you. Now, if you want to play defensive back, that's a whole nother thing, right? Because I've played in it, for many years. I
Yep.
got the playbook.
Right.
So, guiding my son, once he developed a passion for it, because just like anything else, man, if you don't have that passion for it, for me, I'm not the right person,
Right.
because I've seen, what passion can do for you,
Hmm.
and what the game of football has done for me and my family.
Right.
I'm very respect, I respect the game so much,
Yes.
because it's helped me and my family out so much. And so, but once my son started, yeah, Dad, I want to do this. And so I was like, okay, whatever you need.
Yep.
Now, understand this, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
Don't
That's
ask me if you
huge.
don't want the truth,
Yep.
right? And sometimes it's going to sting.
Hmm.
You got to know these things. You say, okay. So, just growing him, give him a heads up on the different things, different people that you're going to possibly need in your life,
Yep.
and the type of characters that's going to come along that's going to might distract you. You
Hmm.
got to be focused. You got to be locked in.
I
And there's
love
going to be
it.
times where won't feel you won't feel like doing the work.
Yep.
That you have to pull that away. So, because your goals, what he would tell me, your goals are to make it to these different levels. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Your goals don't care how you feel,
Boom. Yes.
right? And it's
Yep.
like, and that's now, as being a coach, a leadership coach,
Yeah.
I tell people, hey, my job is to help you get to where you want to go.
Yep.
Don't come with me telling me how you feel.
Right.
I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care. We can use those things. Yes, mishaps, roadblocks, things have happened in your past that's going to cause you to feel a certain way. Yeah. Okay, let's use that
Yep.
to propel you where you want to go.
Mm,
So anyway, doing
that's
that for
good.
my son, and just helping him and guiding him, and just giving him the support. Of course, my wife, she wants to rule, the rah-rah and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, hey, there's gonna be times where you don't need, you know,
Right.
you don't need that,
Yep.
you know. Though, and sometimes depending on your character, that can be the worst thing for you. And you
Absolutely.
still got to keep focused on what do you want to get out. And so
Yes.
anyway, he's entering into this whole new world from it's
Yep.
new, and it's at another level. So
Yep.
there's celebrity involved in it.
Right.
And so just understand, hey, you still need to be you. You don't
Yep.
need to change for anybody else. Don't try to take on this other persona. You're not
Right.
a you're not a WWF wrestler like back in the days, back in the old
Yes.
days.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to
Yep.
take that on. Just understand with this platform though, there's more scrutiny.
I love it.
There's more things that's can derail you.
Yep.
But you need to still do the things that gave you success. Studying film, you know, connecting with the coaches, asking questions, all these type of things. If you have the blueprint to have a long and prosperous career. So as a dad, I'm excited for him to
Yep.
enter into this new world. And for me, really to now I have a team. I haven't cheered for a team in
Yeah.
decades. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The last team I cheered for was the last one that cut me a check. So
I
besides
love
my, my alma mater, but
right.
yeah, I'm excited for him.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Alex, thanks again so much for your time, man. It's been phenomenal to highlight your story and all the amazing things you've been able to accomplish. And I appreciate just the openness, transparency, and candidness because not only does that help, it's helped you, but it's going to help so many others. So thanks again so much.
Thank you very much, man. It's something that, feel that it took me a while to kind of develop this, being open
Mhm.
and vulnerable and showing the different things, the hiccups, not all I can talk. I love talking about
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
great stuff, right? Everybody does, but,
Absolutely.
I can create a deeper connection and you can get more out of it by me talking about some of the things that I failed at,
Yep.
so.
That's so good. Thanks again.